and put on masterful performances because he was so superior skill-wise and defensively. You can't say enough. Tonight with Crawford, for example, we saw him take a punch on several occasions. With Floyd, we didn't see that too often.
All right, Steven, what's your reaction to this victory? Terence Crawford was sensational. What's your reaction?
Not surprised. I'm picking the win by decision coming in this fight. Watching Canelo, seeing his career, expected he wasn't going to get knocked out, especially by the smaller man. But did Crawford have enough power and boxing skill to keep Canelo off of him to some degree? For the most part, that answer was yes. But then he stepped in there and he exchanged back and forth on several occasions and survived and prospered. And I got to give credit where credit is due. I picked him to win by decision, but I never expected.
When he was jabbing, Canelo should be moving, flipping the jab for the final uppercut. So he can anticipate the combination. The jab, the guy wouldn't throw the combination. If Canelo would have used his jab, I was discussing with my wife, he's not using his jab. And then the next round, I saw him using his jab some, so his corner must have been telling him the same thing. And I believe if he used his jab, I used to think if Canelo was using his jab effectively, hard, the guy wouldn't have been able to come in because the guy was coming in because he wasn't worried about Canelo's jab. So he got more aggressive and he got brave. If he's not jabbing, he has no defense. Because the guy was coming in because he wasn't worried about Canelo's jab. So he got more aggressive and he got brave. If he's not jabbing, he has no defense. If he's not going to jab, the guy's going to walk right in on him like he did. Next fight, use your jab, different fight.
Alright, fellas, Canelo and Crawford, it's happened. The fight we're all talking about, the almost fantasy-like matchup, it actually came true. We just witnessed two of the absolute greatest fighters of our time share the ring, and let me tell you, the answers we were looking for, we got them. Now, leading up to this fight, the questions were piling up. Where's they? Would Crawford adapt to the weight? Could he withstand Canelo's legendary power? And on the flip side, could Canelo deliver that statement performance, the one to silence all the criticism surrounding his recent fights? It wasn't just about winning, it was about making a statement, and the night delivered. So, I want to break down exactly what we saw, what this performance means for both fighters' legacies, and of course, that burning question, what's next? If you're a boxing fanatic, consider this your one-stop shop for all things boxing, brought to you as they happen. My name's Closter, and I'm here to keep you in the loop. Make sure you subscribe. I'm committed to delivering the latest boxing news right to you. Now, let's rewind a bit. Fight week itself didn't really throw us any major curveballs. It was pretty much business as usual. That's why I didn't end up covering it extensively. There wasn't a ton of shocking news coming out. The one thing that did surprise some people was the size difference. Everyone expected Canelo to be significantly larger, but honestly, they looked almost identical in their physiques. Both fighters were in incredible shape, which just heightened the anticipation for the battle of skill and strategy we were about to witness. The venue, absolutely spectacular, Allegiant Stadium, packed with tens of thousands of screaming fans, was the first time boxing had ever taken place there. The atmosphere was electric, adding another layer of intensity to an already highly anticipated fight. Now, the undercard, well, it was a mixed bag. Some genuinely exciting fights, but also some stinkers that definitely didn't live up to expectations. But outside of the main event, the Imbi Martinez fight was the one that kept the crowd entertained. If you missed it, it's worth checking out. But let's be honest, everyone was there for one reason and one reason only, the main event. After months of relentless hype and agonizing anticipation, the moment finally arrived. Crawford and Canelo, standing face to face, locked in a stare down, with only the referee, Thomas Taylor, standing between them. The tension was palpable, the opening rounds were tense, methodical. Both fighters were carefully feeling each other out, establishing their rhythm and assessing their opponent's game plan. Canelo, known for being a notorious slow starter, immediately went to the body, trying to soften Crawford up and slow down his movement. Meanwhile, Crawford's southpaw jab was working wonders, keeping Canelo at bay and controlling the distance. Those early rounds were incredibly close, making it difficult to definitively say who had the edge. But if I had to pick, Crawford's sharper counters and fluid combination punching seemed to give him a slight advantage. He was finding openings and exploiting them, while Canelo was patiently working his way into the fight with those heavy body shots. As the middle rounds progressed, the pace noticeably picked up. Canelo was relentless with his body attack, digging deep into Crawford's ribs, trying to wear him down. And Crawford, he was countering beautifully, showing incredible timing and precision. Canelo had a slightly better round in the fifth, but Crawford wasn't having any of it. He came out in the sixth looking to regain control, knowing he had to impose his will and stop Canelo's forward momentum. And he certainly did. That sixth round was a crucial turning point. Crawford started dictating the pace, using his footwork and speed to keep Canelo off balance. The crowd was buzzing, sensing that Crawford was starting to take over. As the fight wore on, Crawford's remarkable precision really began to separate him from Alvarez. He was peppered Canelo with short, lightning-fast combinations, finding success both on the inside and timing his left hand with almost uncanny accuracy. It wasn't just about power, it was about skill, technique, and the ability to read his opponent. Canelo was still trying to muscle his way into the fight, but Crawford's defense was impeccable and his counter-punching was devastating. The shift in momentum was undeniable. Crawford was no longer reacting. He was anticipating, dictating, and controlling the fight. And Canelo, while still showing grit and determination, looked frustrated and uncomfortable. The accidental clash of heads in the ninth round, which opened up a cut over Crawford's right eye, gave Alvarez a brief glimmer of hope, a chance to rally. But Bud, as they call him, remained composed, cool as a cucumber under pressure. He didn't panic. He didn't let the situation rattle him. He continued to execute his game plan with precision and focus. And that's what separates the true champions from the rest. In the championship rounds, Crawford's confidence was radiating. He was moving with even greater fluidity, his punches were landing with even greater accuracy, and his overall performance was simply breathtaking. He was dismantling Canelo, piece by piece, demonstrating his superior skill and technique. The crowd was on its feet, chanting Crawford's name, witnessing a masterclass in boxing. He wasn't just winning, he was making a statement. And the final bell rang, signaling the end of a fight that will be talked about for years to come. What does this performance mean for both fighters' legacies? Let's start with Crawford. He'd just beaten one of the biggest names in boxing, arguably the biggest star in the sport right now. He'd silenced all the doubters who said he couldn't adapt to the weight or handle Canelo's power. He solidified his position as one of the greatest boxers of all time. For Canelo, this is a setback, no doubt about it. He's lost for the first time in a long time, and he's lost convincingly. He's going to need to go back to the drawing board and reassess his approach. He's shown glimpses of his old brilliance, but he wasn't able to sustain it for the entire fight. This loss will undoubtedly fuel his desire to come back stronger and prove himself once again. The question now is, what's next for Crawford? The possibilities are endless. He's the undisputed champion, and he's got a target on his back. We're going to see a lot of fighters lining up to challenge him. Potential fights against other top contenders in the division, or even a blockbuster unification bout against a fighter from another weight class, are all on the table. For Canelo, the path forward is a bit less clear. He's going to need to carefully select his next opponent, someone who will challenge him but not expose his weaknesses. We're going to see him continue to dominate the sport, but he's going to need to rediscover that killer instinct that made him one of the biggest stars in the sport. This fight was more than just a boxing match. It was a clash of styles, a battle of wills, and a testament to the beauty and complexity of the sport. And it will be remembered as a night when Terence Crawford cemented his legacy as one of the all-time greats. Now, let's hear your thoughts. Who do you think Crawford fights next? What does Canelo need to do to bounce back? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more boxing news and analysis, and I'll keep you in the loop. Would be the fight everyone wants to see. The money's there, the hype is palpable, and frankly, Canelo needs it to reassert himself as the dominant force he once was. It's not just about the win, it's about the perception, the narrative, and right now, the narrative is that Terence Crawford is operating on another level. Let's be honest, Canelo looked off. It wasn't the same aggressive, relentless fighter we've become accustomed to seeing. He was trying, you could see the effort, but he just couldn't quite find that gear. He struggled to time Crawford's movements, he couldn't cut off the ring, and he was frequently forced to react rather than dictate. Part of that, undoubtedly, is down to Crawford's exceptional skill, his ability to control the distance and frustrate his opponent. But it also felt like there's something more going on. He's at a point in his career where maintaining that peak level of performance is increasingly challenging. It's not a criticism, it's a reality of aging in a sport as brutal as boxing. You can train as hard as you want, but time takes its toll. And let's not discount the psychological aspect. Crawford's reputation preceded him. He's consistently proven himself against top-tier opposition, and that must have weighed on Canelo going into this fight. Knowing you're facing someone who's not intimidated, who's confident in his abilities, can have a subtle but significant impact on your own mindset. You start second-guessing yourself, you overthink your strategy, and you're less likely to take those risks that can often separate the good fighters from the great ones. Now, I want to touch on something that I think gets overlooked far too often: Crawford's ability to adapt. He's not just a supremely talented fighter, he's also incredibly intelligent. He analyzes his opponents, identifies their weaknesses, and then exploits them with surgical precision. Against Canelo, he recognized that trying to engage in a toe-to-toe slugfest would be a mistake.
Absolutely. Is he better than Floyd Mayweather right now?
I'm not going to sit up here and say that. I think that Floyd Mayweather was such a magician defensively. And you have to look at Floyd Money Mayweather in this regard. Once he moved up to welterweight, his hands were always damaged. So he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to knock you out for the most part. And still, he walked into the ring.
Canelo still possesses tremendous power, and if Crawford had gotten into a prolonged exchange, he could have been in serious trouble. Instead, he opted for a more tactical approach, using his footwork and timing to keep Canelo at bay, picking his shots and frustrating his opponent. He was a chess master in the ring, constantly outmaneuvering Canelo and dictating the pace of the fight. And it's critical to emphasize the historical significance of this victory. Crawford has now become the undisputed champion in 3 different weight divisions. That's an achievement that very few boxers in history can claim. It solidifies his place among the all-time greats. He's not just beating good fighters, he's dominating them. He's redefining what it means to be a champion. It's an almost unbelievable accomplishment, a testament to his dedication, his skill, and his unwavering belief in himself. The commercial implications of this fight are also enormous. Crawford, previously a well-respected but somewhat niche fighter, has now entered the mainstream consciousness. This performance, broadcast on Netflix to a global audience, has exposed him to a whole new level of exposure. Suddenly, he's not just a boxing superstar. He's a household name. The casual fan, the one who doesn't typically follow boxing, now knows who Terence Crawford is. They're impressed by his skill, they've been captivated by his performance, and they're eager to see what he does next. And that, of course, opens up a world of possibilities. Endorsement deals, lucrative sponsorships, and massive pay-per-view fights are all now within his reach. He's transitioned from being a boxing insider to a global icon. This victory isn't just about the money, it's about the legacy. It's about creating a brand, a persona that transcends the sport of boxing. Looking ahead, the question of a rematch is almost certainly going to dominate the conversation. Canelo, pride wounded, will undoubtedly want to prove that the first fight was a fluke. He's going to want to show the world that he can overcome this setback and reclaim his place at the top of the boxing world. And the fans, of course, want to see it. They want to witness a sequel to this epic clash of titans. But from Crawford's perspective, the rematch presents a different kind of opportunity. It's a chance to cement his legacy even further, to unequivocally prove that he's the superior fighter. It's a chance to cash in on the massive commercial interest that this first fight has generated. It's a chance to control the narrative and dictate the terms of the rematch. But there's also a risk. Canelo, motivated by pride and desperation, might come back with a renewed sense of purpose. He might be willing to take more risks, to fight with a reckless abandon that could potentially turn the tide of the fight. Crawford will need to be prepared for anything. He can't afford to take Canelo lightly. And while we're discussing the future, let's not forget about Canelo. What's his path forward? How does he bounce back from this significant defeat? It's not going to be easy. He's going to need to reevaluate his training methods, his strategy, and even his mindset. He's going to need to find a way to recapture the fire that once burned so brightly within him. Perhaps a change of scenery would do him good. A new trainer, a different training environment, a fresh perspective, these things can often spark a resurgence. He also needs to be selective about his next opponent. He can't afford to take on a string of easy fights to rebuild his confidence. He needs to test himself against top-tier competition to push himself to his limits. The key for Canelo is to remember what made him great in the first place. It wasn't just about his power. It was about his relentless aggression, his unwavering determination, and his ability to overcome adversity. He needs to rediscover those qualities, to channel that inner beast that once made him the most feared fighter in the world. This loss, painful as it may be, could ultimately be a catalyst for growth. It's a reminder that even the greatest fighters are not invincible. It's a chance to learn, to adapt, and to come back stronger than ever before. The impact of this fight extends far beyond the boxing ring. It's a testament to the power of skill, determination, and unwavering belief in oneself. It's a reminder that anything is possible if you're willing to put in the work and never give up on your dreams. Terence Crawford, with this stunning victory, has not only cemented his place among the all-time greats, but has also inspired a generation of fighters to reach for the stars. And that, ultimately, is what makes boxing such a compelling and enduring sport. The stories, the struggles, the triumphs, they resonate with us all. They remind us of the human spirit's capacity for greatness. The echoes of this night will be felt for years to come, and the ramifications, folks, are immense. It wasn't just a victory. It was a statement, a declaration that the landscape of boxing, particularly at the top of the 168-pound division, has been irrevocably altered. We're talking about a fighter who, with surgical precision and unwavering resolve, dismantled a man many considered to be virtually untouchable. Now, the question isn't just if a rematch will happen, but what that rematch means. Because the victory wasn't just about winning, it was about the how. Crawford didn't just outbox Canelo. He systematically exposed vulnerabilities, dictating the pace and terms of engagement with an almost unnerving level of control. The Saudis, of course, are the key. This fight has done well numbers-wise. Let's be blunt, they're in the business of spectacle and return on investment. This wasn't just about boxing. It's about promoting Saudi Arabia, branding it, creating a global image. That's why you see the Riyadh season affiliation. It's about bringing the biggest names, the most compelling narratives, to their shores. Canelo being involved is a massive draw, undeniably. Putting him against Crawford generates enormous buzz, but putting him against someone like a Eubank or Billy, well, that's a different level of appeal entirely. The sheer commercial potential of a Crawford-Canelo rematch is staggering. It's a guaranteed money spinner, a global event that transcends boxing itself. So from a purely business perspective, it's almost inevitable that we'll see them do it again. Unless, of course, someone decides to hang up their gloves. But let's say the rematch doesn't happen. What else is on the horizon? Who else could step into the ring with either man? There's Hamza Shars, for instance. He's become a darling of the Riyadh season, and the promoters clearly have big plans for him. He's got the look, the charisma, the skill to draw a crowd, and he's been demolishing opponents, recently sparking out Balanga with brutal efficiency. He's definitely in line for a shot at either Crawford or Canelo, and don't be surprised to see his name thrown around quite a bit in the coming months. Then there's the possibility of a fight with Billy, but honestly, that matchup just doesn't excite anyone. It feels like it would be a one-sided mess, a fight with little to no competitive fire. We're talking about two fighters operating on completely different levels. The last thing we want to see is a mismatch, a fight that diminishes the credibility of both men. Another intriguing name to consider is Bivol. We're hearing murmurs about a potential trilogy fight between them, but it seems Better BF is moving on for the moment, and Bivol is recovering from surgery. If Bivol decides not to pursue that trilogy, I wouldn't be shocked to see him thrown into the mix against Crawford. However, a fight between Bivol and Crawford would almost certainly require Bivol to move down in weight, which presents its own challenges. It's a complex equation, and there's a lot to consider. Interestingly, during the post-fight presser, Crawford himself seemed to shut down any possibility of a fight with Boots, so that particular narrative seems to be off the table. But ultimately, as things stand right now, I believe the rematch between Crawford and Canelo is the most likely scenario. The business is screaming for it, and the fans are clamoring for it. But before we get too caught up in speculation about the future, let's take a moment to truly appreciate what we witnessed last night. Crawford put on a performance that has sent shockwaves throughout the boxing world. He's not just a champion, he's a force of nature. He has unequivocally made a case for himself, the best fighter of this generation. The fact that he's a three-weight undisputed champion is almost surreal. It's a feat that might never be seen again. He chased greatness and he grasped it with both hands. He didn't just win, he dominated, he outclassed, he conquered. Last night was a triumph for Crawford, and it was a great night for boxing. These are the nights that remind us why we're so passionate about this sport. The raw emotion, the incredible athleticism, the unpredictable drama, it's an intoxicating blend that no other sport can replicate. There's a visceral energy, a primal connection to the human spirit that only boxing can evoke. Now, as always, I want to hear your thoughts. What were your scorecards? How did you see the fight unfolding? What do you see next for both Crawford and Canelo? Let me know your opinions in the comments below. I want to foster a community here, a space where boxing fans can share their insights and perspectives. It's a chance for us to connect, to debate, and to celebrate the sport we love. If you enjoyed this analysis, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe to the channel. It genuinely makes a difference and helps us continue to bring you the content you want. Every like, every comment, every share, it all contributes to the growth of the channel. And we truly appreciate your support. It's undeniable that Crawford's victory transcends the confines of the boxing ring. It's a narrative of perseverance, skill, and unwavering belief in oneself. He's an inspiration to aspiring athletes everywhere, a testament to the power of hard work and dedication. He embodies the very essence of what it means to be a champion. The anticipation for the rematch is palpable. The storyline is already simmering.
Does blood go from here? Does he continue at 168 or does he go back down to 154?
I think he goes back down to 154. The Charlos of the world, fight them.
Sebastian Fundora.
But I don't think he stays at super middleweight unless he wants to fight David Benavidez, and I don't think anybody wants to fight.
Dethroned king seeking redemption against the undisputed champion. The clash of styles, the strategic nuances, the psychological warfare. It's a recipe for another unforgettable night of boxing. The world is waiting, and the boxing community is buzzing. We're talking about a fighter who, for years, has toiled in the shadows, often overlooked, often underappreciated. And now, he's seized his moment and etched his name into the annals of boxing history. It's a story of resilience, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for greatness. Crawford is not just a fighter. He's a symbol of hope, a beacon of inspiration for millions around the globe. The potential financial implications of a rematch are staggering. We're talking about pay-per-view numbers that could shatter records. We're talking about sponsorships and endorsements that could generate millions of dollars. It's a business opportunity that's too lucrative to ignore. And the promoters are undoubtedly salivating at the prospect of another Crawford-Canelo showdown. Canelo's response will be fascinating to observe. Will he acknowledge Crawford's superiority and move on to a different challenge? Or will he obsessively pursue a rematch, determined to reclaim his place at the top? His mindset, his training methods, his overall approach to the sport, everything will be under intense scrutiny. The pressure is immense. The ripples of this victory will be felt throughout the boxing landscape. It's a wake-up call for other fighters, a reminder that complacency can be a fatal flaw. It's a challenge to elevate their own game, to push their limits, to strive for greatness. Crawford has raised the bar, and the rest of the division must rise to meet it. Ultimately, last night wasn't just about who won and who lost. It was about the enduring power of boxing to captivate and inspire. It's a sport that embodies the very essence of human competition, a dance of skill, strength, and strategy. It's a spectacle that transcends cultural boundaries, uniting people from all walks of life in a shared appreciation for athletic excellence. And the echoes of this night will resonate for years to come. And it's more than just a victory. It's a statement, a resounding declaration that the boxing landscape has fundamentally shifted. Canelo, the man who has dominated the sport for so long, finds himself in a surprisingly vulnerable position. The pressure, the expectation, the relentless scrutiny, it's all intensified tenfold. And his response, as we're already discussing, will be the defining narrative of the coming months. But let's dissect this a little deeper. We're talking about a fighter who has built his career on a particular blueprint, a calculated approach, meticulously crafted strategies, and an almost unnerving ability to control the pace and direction of a fight. He's the master conductor of his own orchestra, dictating the rhythm and tempo to the detriment of his opponents. And Crawford, last night, not only disrupted that orchestra, but he effectively dismantled it, exposing the fragility of that carefully constructed facade. The business implications, as we touched upon, are staggering. We're witnessing a potential paradigm shift in the boxing economy. A rematch, a Crawford-Canelo rematch, isn't merely a lucrative proposition. It's a cultural phenomenon waiting to happen. The pay-per-view numbers? They're not just projected to be high. They're potentially transformative. They could redefine the very notion of what constitutes a successful boxing event. Sponsorships will be vying for a piece of this action, endorsements will skyrocket, and the global attention will be unprecedented. This isn't just about money. It's about legacy, about solidifying a place in boxing history. But beyond the financial incentives, there's a deeper narrative at play. Canelo's mindset is paramount. Does he confront this reality, acknowledge the validity of Crawford's victory, and adjust his approach accordingly? Or does he succumb to the temptation of a rematch, driven by ego and the desire to reclaim his perceived position at the summit? The answer to that question will not only shape his career trajectory, but will also influence the future of the sport itself. We've seen fighters throughout boxing history blinded by their own hubris, refusing to accept defeat, chasing a phantom rematch that ultimately leads to their downfall. Consider the psychological aspect. Crawford didn't simply outbox Canelo. He arguably broke him, at least temporarily. He demonstrated a level of skill, agility, and strategic brilliance that Canelo seemed ill-equipped to handle. This isn't just about physical strength or raw power. It's about mental fortitude, about the ability to adapt and overcome adversity in the face of relentless pressure. And Canelo, for the first time in a long time, appeared to be grappling with a challenge that was beyond his usual repertoire of solutions. The doubt, the uncertainty, it can be a corrosive force, eroding confidence and undermining performance. The ripples of this victory extend far beyond the immediate participants. It's a wake-up call to every boxer striving for greatness. It's a stark reminder that complacency is a dangerous adversary, that talent alone isn't enough to guarantee success. Every fighter in the division and beyond is now scrutinizing their own training methods, reassessing their strategies, and searching for ways to elevate their game to meet the new standard that Crawford has set. This isn't just about competition. It's about a collective pursuit of excellence, driven by the inspiration of a truly remarkable athlete. And let's not underestimate the power of the narrative itself. Boxing at its core isn't just about punches and combinations. It's about storytelling. It's about the drama, the intrigue, the human element that resonates with audiences around the world. Crawford's victory isn't just a boxing result. It's a compelling story of perseverance, resilience, and the triumph of skill over perceived dominance. It's a narrative that captures the imagination, that inspires hope, and that unites people from all walks of life. The potential for a rematch is a masterstroke of promotional genius. It's a storyline that's already simmering, bubbling with anticipation and intrigue. The dethroned king seeking redemption against the undisputed champion. It's a classic tale of David versus Goliath, of the underdog defying the odds, of the unexpected hero emerging from the shadows. And it's a narrative that promises to captivate audiences worldwide, driving pay-per-view numbers and generating unprecedented levels of excitement. But Canelo's response will be pivotal. Will he choose to honor Crawford's victory, acknowledging his skills and moving on to a different challenge? Or will he become consumed by the desire for a rematch, obsessively pursuing a chance to reclaim his crown? This isn't just about ego. It's about strategic decision-making. Pursuing a rematch might be tempting, but it carries significant risks. It's a gamble that could further expose his vulnerabilities and potentially damage his long-term legacy. The training regimen for a rematch, if it happens, will be under intense scrutiny. Every aspect of Canelo's preparation, his diet, his conditioning, his sparring partners, will be analyzed and dissected by fans, experts, and the media alike. The pressure to succeed will be immense, and the margin for error will be razor-thin. He's not just training for a fight. He's preparing for a referendum on his entire career. And the style clash, that dynamic interaction, promises to be just as compelling the second time around. Crawford's ability to dictate the pace, to control the distance, to exploit Canelo's weaknesses, these are all elements that Canelo will be desperate to address in a rematch. But can he truly adapt his game to overcome such a formidable opponent? The boxing world is waiting to find out. The psychological warfare, the subtle mind games, these are all part of the intricate dance that unfolds both inside and outside the ring. And Crawford, with his quiet confidence and strategic brilliance, will undoubtedly have a few surprises up his sleeve. The echoes of this night, the moment when Crawford dethroned Canelo, will resonate for years to come. It's a testament to the enduring power of boxing to captivate and inspire. It's a sport that embodies the very essence of human competition, a dance of skill, strength, and strategy. It's a spectacle that transcends cultural boundaries, uniting people from all walks of life in a shared appreciation for athletic excellence. It's important to remember that this isn't just about two fighters. It's about a community, a passion, a shared love for the sweet science. And Crawford's victory isn't just a moment of triumph for him. It's a moment of celebration for the entire boxing world. It's a reminder that anything is possible, that the underdog can prevail, and that greatness can be achieved through hard work, dedication, and unwavering belief in oneself. The boxing landscape has been forever altered, and the world waits with bated breath to see what unfolds next. The rematch, the next challenge, the continued evolution of these extraordinary athletes, these are the narratives that will shape the future of boxing. And the conversation, the debate, the shared passion, it's what makes this sport so captivating, so enduring, and so utterly unforgettable. This is more than just a sport. It's a global phenomenon, and Crawford's performance has reignited the flame of excitement once again. The potential for future matches, the ongoing evolution of the game, it all points towards a thrilling future for boxing. The echoes of this night, the moment when Crawford dethroned Canelo, will resonate for years to come. It's a testament to the enduring power of boxing to captivate and inspire. It's a sport that embodies the very essence of human competition, a dance of skill, strength, and strategy. It's a spectacle that transcends cultural boundaries, uniting people from all walks of life in a shared appreciation for athletic excellence.